Gina is off preaching at a different church today, and so I am happy to fill in. This morning, Pastor Kurt will be speaking about the book of Matthew and how Jesus accepted him even though tax collectors were not well liked at that time. And Matthew's words were not always pleasing to Jesus or to others. There was no sugarcoating with Matthew, and probably he really wasn't politically correct most of the time. Let me share a little story with you. A pastor is finishing his sermon one Sunday morning, and this could have been you last week. But before dismissing the congregation, he asks, "In preparation for my sermon next week, I want you all to read Matthew chapter 29. The next week, everyone returns to church, and the pastor asks, "How many of you read Matthew chapter 9 as I asked?" Almost every hand in the room went up, and some people even nodded enthusiastically. And the pastor smiled and said, "Well, that's wonderful, because this week's sermon is about lying, because the Gospel of Matthew only has 28 chapters." You were already laughing before I got there. We need the story of redemption, showcasing how God works through flawed people, then and now, like ourselves. But we also need the story of acceptance and grace, so that we can then move forward in our relationships with God. In closing, let me just leave one little thought. As you know, we're all trying to save our church building. So a church just like ours was trying to raise money to maintain their building. The pastor announced to the congregation that whoever gave the most money for the building fund would be able to pick 3 hymns. A week later, the pastor announced the results of the fundraising campaign. He stated, "I would like to invite Miss Johnson, who gave the most money, to walk forward and face the congregation." The pastor then said, "Well, what 3 hymns would you like?" And she stepped forward and she said, "Him, him, and him." And with that, welcome to worship. We're so glad you're here.